Welcome, guys. We are here for a big weekend of college basketball and just one game of college football. You're on GameDay. All right, guys, welcome back. It is Brad with College SportsCast. I've got John Hammonds here with me tonight. We're here to do week 16 of season 3. What's up?
What's up, man? How's it going?
What's up, Hammonds?
Not much, man. Not much. You're breaking up, Brad.
Setup that I'm trying. And I'm trying to see if it's actually going to run. Or maybe it'll run. I don't know. I'm in a different spot than I normally am. I'm trying to get a little more comfortable, to be quite honest. All right. If you're with us on Facebook, I want you to know we are proud to say we are growing tremendously on Facebook. We appreciate you guys. You can help support us by sending stars, or you can subscribe to our Facebook page. It's only 99 cents a month, and that does help us to earn a little bit of money to continue to make more content for you guys. We are also appreciative of you if you are on YouTube with us tonight. Also, WSBN TV Channel 30. Those are the 3 ways you can catch us. All right, Hammonds, we have a light, and I mean light, lineup of college football. It's kind of weird.
It is. It is.
Like, we've been doing college football, and college football, and now all of a sudden, it's like, I guess we're switching to basketball.
Yeah, I mean, you got
right.
There's that little break where you have college basketball kind of pop up because the bowl games haven't started yet. They don't get really started till probably next week, the week after. So then you got the college football playoffs coming up, and Navy and Army is usually the standalone game most of the time at the end of the year. So I think it's pretty much a given where the scheduling comes out at in that regard. So either way, they get their own little spotlight, which I kind of agree with.
Yeah, it is. It's just a little weird when you're doing these for season after season and you're so into it, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I guess we're taking a little break from football for a little bit. But so we are going to start with the football. We do have one game we're going to talk about. It is the big game this weekend, and actually it's against 2 good teams. Both of these teams have been good this year. Navy was ranked at one time. Army is ranked right now. They are 11-1. I think Navy wound up being 9-3. Is that right?
Army is.
This may be their 12th game.
Army's 11-1, and Navy's 8-3.
Yeah, and Navy 8-3. Yeah, that's what I said. One of them, I think this is their 12th game. Yeah. So, you've got 2 good teams here. And Army was ranked inside the top 25 in the college football playoff rankings. So they are a 6-point favorite here, John. And this is at home for Army. And they, like I said, they're the 11-1 team here, going to a big bowl after this.
Yeah. This is,
for
to
them.
me, this is the biggest game of the season in terms of just football itself. We have all these other games, but the Army-Navy game is a special game. It's always been a traditional rivalry.
Just the pageantry alone
with the country. And this year's game's no different. They're debuting new uniforms. Army, I think, is having the Screaming Eagle uniform in honor of the 101st Airborne Division. The uniforms will feature some of the division's mascots, reflecting the fog and snow in the Ardennes forest. Navy will have the Jolly Roger uniforms. So this is a big deal for everybody. And then there's a key stat in all this that since 1901, there have been 10 sitting presidents who have attended the Army-Navy games. Donald Trump will be there again Saturday with Vice President J.D. Vance. So many of presidents have been there. Different players from the Army Navy past. This is a big deal. Navy is leading the series right now.
And to be quite honest, wait a second. To be quite honest, they don't like each other.
They don't.
Like, this is a big rivalry.
It is. Navy's leading the series right now, 62 to 57-7. Navy broke, I think, a losing streak back in 15, and they've won 6 of 8 games against Army. So with that said, though, this year's Army team, I think, is a lot better than Navy. They got a really good quarterback in Bryson Daly. He's had 29 touchdowns on the year. I think he ties Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty for the most touchdowns this season. So they Army also won its first ever conference title in the AAC championship game over Tulane last week. 12 Army players were named to the all-conference team. So this is a really, really good Army team. And I think that's where I'm going to stick with this.
Well, Army and Navy they've always been independents up until recently. I'm pretty sure they have for a long time.
One thing I do like about this game is the quarterback for Navy. He was a finalist for the Comeback Player of the Year award, Blake Horvath. He tied for the third highest in Navy school history, 11 touchdown passes. He did not play last week, but he is expected to play against Army tomorrow. But I like Army in this game. I think Army is the better team. So give me Army. I think Bryson Daly, their quarterback, will be the difference in this game, and I think Army takes care of Navy. But either way, it don't really matter in this whole scheme of things because when Army-Navy plays, America wins. This is America's game. And for me, that's as patriotic as it gets. And at the end of the
I'll give you a little bit of story here for me, or from me, not for me, but from me. So this week, I was doing a little bit of studying on this game and just trying to get into the pageantry of this game and everything. And I caught Bryson Daly on SportsCenter, and they did an interview with him, and such a great young man for his country, for his team. It was a great interview, but the one thing that really caught my attention here in this game is this. At the end of the interview, they were asking Bryson as a college football player, like they were really asking him as a college football player. Like going to do after this. And what really caught my attention here is after this game, after this semester in January, he is going to deploy in active duty with the Army. And he talked about being in active duty on the front line in the Army. And that's his next. He's going to be stationed active duty on the front line somewhere. And it just brings it into perspective. We're talking about sports and we're talking about football and all these other great players that have 29 touchdowns are worried about going to the NFL or getting the Heisman Trophy with Genty and stuff. You were talking about, 29 touchdowns. And this young man is going to be on the front line in the United States Army after this game. I mean, it pretty much puts it into perspective for you pretty quickly.
It does. It does.
He's had a great season. He's had a great season, and I would love to see Army win this one. Like you said, Navy's kind of had the upper hand in this the last 6-8 years. And Army being 11-1, finishing up if they could here, 12-1 after this game. I think that would be fantastic for them. Fantastic season. This is the only thing that I will say to you might be wrong with the college football playoff. You get an 11-1 team here, maybe 12-1 after tomorrow team here that runs through the season, plays everybody. I mean, the only loss they have is to Notre Dame. And you kind of, as a football fan, wish that they had a spot. You know what I mean? When a team can run 12-0, 11-1, these smaller schools, smaller places, smaller teams, you kind of wish they had a spot.
Yep.
Just to see. So that's really, where I wanted to leave it with Bryson Daly, talking about him and where he's headed next. He's not worried about NIL. He's not worried about making a bunch of money. He's not worried about transfer portal. He's not worried about the NFL. He's going to the front line of the United States Army.
Yeah.
I mean, that puts everything into perspective. So give me Army on this game. I am going to lay the 6 points. I think they are the better team this year. Navy's had a great year, and they will give them a battle tomorrow. But I do think Army wins this one.
Yep.
All right, John, we are going to run through a whole bunch of basketball. I didn't put basketball in with these, but guys, we are switching from football to basketball here. I think I have 12 games on the slate here to run through. Again, these are all basketball, and these are DraftKings spreads from this evening. Everything that I have. Now, I don't know where all of these games are, John, if you want to pull them up and look exactly, because sometimes in basketball you're playing neutral site games. But Memphis versus Clemson tomorrow, Clemson is a 6.5 point favorite.
Okay, so, Memphis has had a really good season so far. they went through the Maui
I
and,
think
and
they're
they knocked off.
7-2 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they knocked off UConn. They got into the championship
They
against
did.
Auburn, lost to it, but then they kind of had that little setback against Arkansas State. They got upset at home, and they're playing a Clemson team that is playing really good right now. They went on the road to beat Miami. They beat Kentucky at home. They got a really good player in Ian Shefflin. Chase Hunter is good for them, but to me, he's been a little bit inconsistent lately. He's only shot, I think, below 40% in 4 of his past 5 games. Clemson is ranked 20th in Kim Palm in defense. They're really good defensively. They push you out. They play really hard. They play really physical. And they're undefeated at home, including, like I said, the win over Kentucky. So
is this at home?
Yeah,
Little John.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clemson's one of the best defensive teams in the country, honestly, and they've only gave up, I think, an average of 60 points in their past 5 games, which Memphis is really good defensively as well. And Clemson has won by 8 or more in their last 9 games. I like Clemson in this game. I like this Memphis team. They got some really good guards in Kobe Hunter and PJ Haggerty. I just think the physicality and Ian Shefflin and Chase Hunter and the group that Clemson has, I think they take care of business tomorrow and they win this game by 6.5.
Haggerty, by the way, is averaging 23 points a game.
He is.
He's 7-2.
He's one of the best pure scorers.
He's been lighting it up.
Tyrese Hunter's been really good. He played really well in the Maui Invitational. They're even, I think, 38th in the Kim Palm. So this is going to be a really fun defensive game. Clemson does like to get out and score too, which they can score in bunches. We saw that in the Maui Invitational. But I like Clemson in this game. I think they're the better team, and I think they play better at home. They're a completely different team when they're away. Now, they did lose that game against Boise State earlier in the year, which was kind of mind-boggling a little bit with how they played against Kentucky and such others. But I like Clemson in this game by the 6.5.
I think I'm going to agree with you. This being in Little John, they're tough to play there. I mean, Kentucky fans know that already this year. But this has not just been this year. They've been a pretty good team the last 2 years. This will be the 3rd year in a row that Clemson has been a pretty solid basketball team. They made the tournament last year. They barely missed. They were one of the last teams out 2 years ago and barely missed. It may have been the last team out 2 years ago. So, I mean, they've been really close to getting in. Memphis has been up and down. They did have a good start this year. I think I'm going to go with you and take Clemson and the 6.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis has been kind of
Christian Scott. Appreciate it.
They've been kind of lackadaisical at times. They had those really good wins in Maui, and then they kind of had that slip up against Arkansas State, which was kind of surprising, to be honest. They was double-digit favorites in that game. The Arkansas State team just pushed them to the limit. Everything they shot went in. It was just one of those nights for Clemson.
That was coming off of the Maui trip too, though.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta get back to Eastern Standard Time. Like sometimes you can get jet lag in those things. That's like I was saying, like with UConn. Yeah. They had some issues out in Maui. I think sometimes it can be kind of a more, I don't know how to explain it. Like you get kind of out of whack when you have to play 2-3 games in a row. And sometimes getting back to your normal routine is
they come back. Get back
Yeah,
in the flow.
get
Yep.
back in the flow of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, the next game we're going to touch on is Texas A&M. This is at I think it's at Purdue. It's called the Indy Classic.
I think
So
it's at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. It's a neutral game.
Cambridge. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
a neutral
All
game. Yeah.
right. I was trying to look and see where it was. Yeah, it's a neutral game in Indy is where this game is. All right. Purdue is a 2.5 point favorite. This is two ranked teams. A&M 17, Purdue is 11.
Yeah, I
This
mean
is two ranked team matchup here tomorrow. This is a big one.
A&M, they've won 4 straight. They're 8-2. They beat Ohio State and Creighton. Their biggest success for me is their defense. The way they get after you
What's up,
offensively,
Jason?
they're led by Lade Taylor. Zurich Phipps, he's contributing for them. Andrew Garcia has been really good on the boards. They've struggled behind the arc a little bit this year. I think they're just making 30% from the field, I think. So the lack of shooting could be a problem when you're facing a team like Purdue that's really balanced. Now, A&M's defensive ability to disrupt teams and create turnovers can be crucial in a game like this as they try to contain Purdue in the way they run things. Purdue has shown that they can be good without Zach Edey. They're ranked 17th overall in Kim Palm. They got Trey Kaufman-Wren has stepped up really big. Braden Smith, Fletcher Laurel has played really well. He's an outside threat guy. They've already beat teams like Alabama. They beat Ole Miss. So Purdue's got a balanced attack offensively. I really like this Purdue team. Their offensive efficiency and the fact that they're playing, in Indianapolis, I think gives them an edge, especially with the fans and whatnot, the fan base. The Boilermakers' experience, I think, is going to help here, along with, playing in these type games. And I think they cover the spread, the 1.5. Now, I do like Texas A&M. I think they got a great guard in Wade Taylor. I think he's one of the best guards in the country. But I think the fact that Purdue can outscore them, and A&M sometimes has struggled scoring, I think Purdue takes this game.
We both picked Army, Josh, just so you know, at the beginning already. All right, so in this one, if Purdue does win this game, that would be 3 wins versus SEC this year if they could get this win tomorrow. And the SEC has looked extremely good and tough so far. And for Purdue to possibly have 3 wins versus Alabama, Ole Miss, and A&M, that's pretty impressive if they can get that tomorrow in Indy.
Yep.
That would be huge for them. I do like this Purdue team in Indy. A&M, they're scrappy as hell, to be honest with you. And I love the way they play. Buzz Williams does an awesome job with this team. I think he's a great coach. I really do. He plays a little different. He plays great defense and scrappy, and he changes those defense. He plays trapping D sometimes. He's a really tough, hard-nosed coach. I love the way he coaches. However, this Purdue team's kind of been impressive so far, and this being in Indy, I think I am going to take Purdue in the 2.5. All right, John, the next game we're going to get to is Ohio State and Auburn. And this is at Auburn, I believe, right?
No, it's in Atlanta, Georgia. It's the Holiday Hoops Giving event.
No, it's at the State Farm Arena.
Yep.
See, you can't trust. I swear, my ESPN at the very top, it says at Auburn, and then you get scroll down, and it's not. So, anyways, all right, Ohio State versus Auburn. Auburn is an 11.5 point favorite here. Ohio State is not ranked. They are 6-3. They've been without Aaron Bradshaw. He was reinstated this week. I don't know if he's going to be playing in this game or not, but he was reinstated this week.
Yeah, I love this Auburn team. You know, Bruce Pearl's got a fantastic group of guys. You know, they got Miles Kelly, Todd Pettiford. They got Chad Baker Mazzara. You know, they got the National Player of the Year candidate in Janai Broome. You know, they did lose the game at Duke. But, you know, hey, not many people go into Cameron Indoor Stadium and win many games. Let's just be honest. You know,
a tough place to play.
They went through the Maui, dominated the Maui. To me, this is the best team in the SEC. They're ranked 9th in the nation in scoring. I think they're 6th in field goal shooting. You know, they get after you. They shoot the ball really, really well. They're good defensively. You know, they force turnovers. Ohio State's struggling. And Auburn, to me, is one of the most efficient teams in the country, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. You know, they are highly protective over the basketball. They don't turn the ball over quite a bit.
Does the spread scare you? Does 11.5 point spread scare you?
A little bit, but Ohio State has not looked good lately. They're just 2-3 against Power 5 teams. You know, plus Auburn, I think, has played one of the top 5 schedules in the country. I think Auburn's going to try to control this game in the tempo. But I think I'm going to take the Tigers minus the points. Now, could this go either way? Auburn in a blowout? Yes. Could Ohio State keep it close? Yes, that too. But Ohio State's facing a really, really good team in Auburn. And I think Ohio State's going to have Bruce Thornton be big. I think Micah Parrish is going to have to play big for them. Michie Johnson's going to have to play big if they want to beat this Auburn team, because this Auburn team, let's be honest, Brad, this Auburn team might win the whole thing. They're that good. To me, they're the best team in the country.
They've been
and
impressive to me.
So I got Auburn in this game. I think Auburn takes care of business.
I mean, I agree with you. This Auburn team, Hammonds, has been really, really impressive. I've watched them a few times already this year. Like you said, you named them all. I mean, I can't even say his name. Broome. What's his first name? Janai
Broome.
Yeah, Janai. All right. He's averaging almost 20 points a game. I mean, he's playing lights out. This team has been impressive. This Kelly kid has been impressive, shooting from anywhere on the floor. I mean, this is a solid, deep team. I've got to go Auburn here. I don't think Ohio State has played a team anywhere near the quality that Auburn has this year so far. I think they're going to be in for a long, long day, in my opinion. I'm going to take the Tigers, man. Like this is a solid enough team. I think this is a team that could make the Final Four.
Yeah, I'm out there.
That's what they have looked like to me so far. Yeah. All right, the next one is Xavier and Cincy. This is a big rivalry game. Very hated rivalry between these two teams. You know, this is huge for them. You know, for these two teams, and this is at Cincy. I'm pretty sure here. Cincinnati is a 7.5-point favorite. They are ranked 22nd. Xavier got a good team. They're sitting 8-2. Do you think Xavier has a chance in this game tomorrow?
I mean, I do. I'm not real big on Cincinnati right now. Xavier started out 6-0. They hit some bumps in the road. They got Zach Fremantle. He's a really good player. To me, I feel like he's probably the comeback player of the year in the Big East if he continues on the pace that he's at. I think they're a good group defensively. They're holding teams to 66% shooting on the floor. The biggest thing with Cincinnati is, they opened up their first loss of the season. I think last week they dropped a little bit in the Kim Palm. They dropped in the rankings. They're a very slow-paced team. They shoot 51% from the floor, and they're only, I think, 39% from three. They're really good on the boards at times. Xavier has a very bad three-point defense, and I think that's going to be their problem Saturday because Cincinnati shoots 39% from deep. Cincinnati's really good at keeping the ball. They don't turn the ball over a lot. I think to look back at this, I'm still not sold on Cincinnati, but I think they take care of this game and they win this rivalry game. I think they make a statement. I think they beat the spread. I think they cover this game. But I'm still kind of on the fence with Cincinnati.
Well, this might be where we're going to take a difference here. I think I'm going to take Xavier and take the 7.5 points.
I want to
I'm
too.
not so sure that Cincinnati doesn't win.
Well, the thing about Cincinnati,
but I think I'm going to take Xavier and take the 7.5 points.
The thing about Cincinnati, what I was saying, like their first loss was against Villanova, and I'm not a huge proponent of Villanova right now. And maybe that's a bad loss later in the year. Maybe it's a good loss. I don't know. But they did not look great in that game. And Cincinnati does play well at home. Now, Xavier plays really good at home, and they're not as much good away. But I could see Cincinnati kind of pushing this game.
Man, you're talking about a hated rivalry. This game's usually pretty heated and close.
It's up there. Yeah. So, give me Cincinnati to cover. I think them being at home.
It is.
And I will say this too. Xavier, I think, has a 5-game win streak on Cincinnati right now. So Cincinnati's looking to try to break that streak. Xavier's kind of dominated this series, to be honest. And Cincinnati would like to get some payback on that.
All right. I made mine. I'm going to Xavier and taking the 7.5 points in this one. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about, John, is UCLA versus Arizona. Now, this has always, and I mean always, been a conference game. And it's different seeing this the way this is. This is a non-conference battle now of two rivalry teams in college basketball that's trying to keep that rivalry together and still play. And because you got Big Ten with UCLA now and Arizona's in the Big 12, I'm glad to see this game still on the schedule, that they worked out a deal to do this game. It's been a heated rivalry out west for a long time, and I'm glad to see this game on the schedule. UCLA, I think this is actually at Arizona, but I could be wrong. Arizona is a 3-point favorite. Now, Hammonds, Arizona's like 4-4. They have not played great.
They haven't. I think this is a huge game for Arizona. I think they're at a sense of urgency here. When you're 4-4, you got to get every win you can because so many teams are up. You're in front, behind a lot of teams. Um, you know,
They
UCLA
were
to me,
preseason ranked.
they were. Um, UCLA is very tough
Yeah.
oriented. They're a very good defensive
Caleb
team.
Love.
Do what now?
I say Caleb Love was back. I mean, this is a team that was supposed to be better.
Yeah, I mean, they got the thing about UCLA, they got some really good veterans in Kobe Johnson and Sky Clark, the transfer from Illinois. I think they're really skilled. They got a skilled, I think his name's Tyler Bedeau. He's the big man in the middle. He's really good defensively. I think
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it.
I can't pronounce his name, but I think Arizona needs to win this game. This is one of those games where they're 4-4. I think they need to take advantage of this game and win this game. Because if Arizona loses this game, they're 4-5 almost to Christmas. And that schedule that they got coming up is not going to be easy. So they're going to have to figure a way how to win this game some way or another. And put a decent win on the resume because UCLA is probably a quad 1, quad 2 type win. So it's going to be a good win for Arizona if they can pick it up.
Well, they're ranked 24. UCLA is the one that's ranked right now. They're 24th. They're 7-8-1.
So Arizona needs to win this game.
Yeah.
Caleb Love needs to get it together. This whole team needs to get together. I just don't. I've watched them all year. I have not been impressed. The game at Wisconsin was one that really didn't impress me. They just looked lackadaisical. I mean, they was picked to be one of the top 10 teams in the country, like Final Four, and it's just not been the year that they expected so far. But like I said, I think I'm going to take Arizona in this game. But they lose this game, and it's going to be tough sledding.
I mean, this is a heated rivalry out there. I mean, like I said, talked about, it's good to see this game on the schedule. Mick Cronin has got these boys playing for the Bruins. I mean, they're 8-1, ranked 24th in the country. Arizona has had some struggle. Caleb Love has had some struggle here. I mean, this is an absolute must-win game at home for Arizona.
It is.
It's that simple. You cannot let UCLA come into your house when you get one time a year now for this rivalry and still a win. I'm with you. Just for that reason alone, I'm going to take Arizona. However, safe money. If I was putting money on this, I might put money on UCLA. I'm just saying. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is NC State coming off their Final Four run last year. They're taking on Kansas tomorrow, and Kansas is a 14.5-point favorite. NC State 7-3. But Kansas has lost 2 in a row. They're 7-2.
Yeah.
Now,
the thing about NC
John,
State,
do they bounce? Do they bounce back? Because this is at home. This is in Lawrence.
Yeah, I think they do.
At Allen Fieldhouse.
I think they do. I mean, they got Zeke Mayo. He's one of their top scorers. He came over from South Dakota State. They got DeJuan Harris Jr. Dickinson is their leading scorer and rebounder. He's really, really good. They didn't play great against Creighton last week. They looked lackadaisical at times, couldn't shoot. Then you add KJ Adams. He has a lot of athleticism to the front court. They're not going to take kind to this, losing the game.
Missouri handed them an ass whooping, to be honest.
They're not going to take kind to losing to Creighton and Missouri back to back. I think they're going to take it out on NC State tomorrow. Them are not necessarily bad losses, but I think with Kansas being at home, the field house is always a tough place to play. NC State, they know they don't have DJ Burns anymore. They don't have Horn anymore. They got a whole new group of players. Now they do got Don Styles. So he's really, really good. Jaden Taylor is a really decent guard out front, and then they got Marcus Hill. He was a transfer from Bowling Green. So this is a whole new NC State team. But plus they've had a 3-game losing streak. They lost to Purdue, BYU, and Texas. So they're not having the year I thought they would have. And I don't think it gets any better tomorrow. Give me the 14.5 points. I think Kansas covers this game. I think they'll look like another one of the top teams in the country again tomorrow because they're at home. Allen Fieldhouse is a tough environment to play in, and NC State is kind of walking into problems tomorrow, if you ask me.
I agree with you on most of all of that. I will say this. It's kind of funny. You got a team that's lost 3 in a row, NC State, and Kansas has lost 2 in a row.
Well, they did beat
somebody's got to win tomorrow.
They did beat Coppin State. They did beat Coppin State in the last week. So NC State did. So I was just saying they was on a 3-game losing. NC State. They was on a 3-game losing streak. And
they were on a 3-game. Okay. Yeah.
So.
All right. But I thought that was kind of funny when you said they were on a 3-game losing streak. I was like, somebody's got to win. All right. I think Kansas is going to come out and be ready to play and like at home to give somebody an ass whooping. And I don't care who they were playing, to be quite honest with you. I'm going to go Kansas in this one. It's just a bounce back, if you ask me, that I think they're going to be mad and ready to play. All right, John, this is a game here. We're going to get to our game. We got Louisville at Kentucky tomorrow. Kentucky is a 12-point favorite in this game, and possibly no Butler again tomorrow. Do you think that's going to hinder the 12-point cushion here?
I think it will a little bit, but I don't think it's going to really change things. I don't think. Louisville's got a lot of depth issues. They're struggling without Pryor. They lost another guy to injury for the year. Now they do got a pair of good guys, a couple of guys, in James Scott. He had a really good game against UTEP the other night. Javon Hadley's really good. They got Terrence Edwards Jr., the transfer that came with Pat Kelsey. And then they got their main guy, Chucky Hepburn. I think he's a big plus for them. He's really, really good. He had a really, really good tournament in the Battle for Atlantis, and then he kind of cooled off a little bit. Kentucky's dominated this series, and in recent years, they've won 5 of the last 6 meetings. They're ranked probably top in the country and not the most efficient offense. Louisville's not as nearly proficient offensively, and I think they're going to have trouble tomorrow slowing down Kentucky. And plus, Louisville don't shoot the ball well from 3. I think this will be an issue against Kentucky. And Kentucky's really efficient with the ball in their hands. And they've won 5 of the last 6, plus this game's at Rupp, and I think it'll be 6 or 7 after tomorrow. But I think I'm going to give Kentucky minus the points. But Louisville, to me, it might be close early, but I think the lack of depth that Louisville has, I think they're going to get wore out in the second half, and I think Kentucky just kind of puts them away late in the second half.
So I talked to you earlier. I've got some concerns offensively about this team. Now, I'm holding off on those because Butler's been out. Kerr is now out. I think that kind of changes the dynamics on this team. So I'm holding off on some of my concerns. But, you know, I think if both of them are out again tomorrow, I, I think that's an issue for this Kentucky team. Now, do I think that will be an issue tomorrow and that we might lose this game? No, I do not. However, with him being out, I mean, we were a 32 and barely won double digits.
Well, you got to remember.
Didn't shoot well outside of Kobe Bria.
You got to remember with Lamont Butler.
And I've got some concerns.
He's a downhill driver. And he goes downhill. He opens up the offense. Without Butler doing that, it's hard.
Yeah, but I'm saying if he's out tomorrow, there's some concerns. I mean, is Louisville better than Colgate? Probably. I mean, I'm not saying they're terrible. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's some concerns if Butler's out. I'm going to take Kentucky and these 12 points, but I do have some concerns on this team. But like I said, I'm holding off on a few of these until we can get some guys back healthy to see exactly where this team is.
I think a lot of it has to do with Butler. Butler opens up the offense, Brad, and he changes the dynamics of things. When you don't have Butler with their driving ability, open up the offense, spread the floor space, it's hard when you're having to throw a guy in that's not necessarily been a point guard. Now, he was a point guard. He done some point guard stuff with Pope last year at BYU, Jackson Robinson, who I'm talking about. And to throw him in there and him having to play the two guard plus the point, it's kind of hard to adjust to that. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
I mean, I agree. I think so too. That's why I said I'm trying to hold off. But the last few games, I've got a few concerns, and part of that started before Butler was out. But so I'm holding off. All right, the next one. We got Tennessee at Illinois. John, and I hate to say this, Tennessee is number 1 in the country.
They are. They're playing really good too. Chaz Lanier.
And this is a pick'em game.
He's their main guy since Dalton Connect left to the NBA. Igor Milicic Jr., he's a 6'10" senior from Charlotte. He's playing really, really well. And then you got Zakai Ziegler, who runs point for Tennessee, who's really, really good. They're ranked 2nd overall in KenPom. They're 10th in offense and 2nd in defense. Now, there's sometimes where Tennessee gets in lulls where they can't score. They play relatively slow with their pace of play, but they get after you defensively. They're really physical. On the other side, you got a team like Illinois. They beat Arkansas. They beat Wisconsin. They lost to Northwestern, I think, lost to Alabama. So this is a big game for Illinois. And Tennessee, for me, Brad, has yet to be challenged. They're going to be challenged here. They've only played one true road game all year, and that was at Louisville, and they blitzed Louisville, okay? I think Illinois, to me, is better than Louisville. And I think Illinois, I think, is 6-0 on their home floor. So it's going to be a challenge for Tennessee here. Champaign is not an easy place to play. Big Ten teams have found that out. So I'm going to take Illinois to cover in this game, which it's not really – it's a pick'em game. So if I'm outright saying, I guess, Illinois to upset them, but I'm really not. I mean, I'm picking them to cover. I think Tennessee wins this game, but I think they're going to be tested and challenged in this game compared to where they were a month ago with Louisville.
There's too much orange in this game. Way too much orange. I'm just telling y'all, there is way too much orange in this game. Listen, I think Tennessee is a good team. I think they probably win this game. But sometimes I go on feels, and there's just something that tells me that Illinois is going to be up for this game. This is going to be a statement game for them with the number one team coming to their house, their place. Champaign is going to be crazy. I think Illinois might pull the upset here. I think I'm going to take the Illini for the upset in this one. Now, I'm calling for the upset. I got a feeling the upset might happen. And Jerry, you might be right. He said I was picking with my heart. You might be right, Jerry. All right, the next one's, I think, maybe the biggest game of the day tomorrow. This one is a little bit later tomorrow. You've got the Zags versus UConn. This is at Madison Square Gardens. They're flying across country to take on the two-time defending champs. Of course, everybody knows what happened to them in Maui. They can't run and hide from that now. They've had a couple of bounce-back games since Maui. But the Zags need a bounce-back game from last week. Giving up the lead, 18-point lead.
If you look at Gonzaga's schedule, they play one of the toughest non-conference schedules in the country because, they're in the West Coast Conference. They're not going to get a lot of challenges besides St. Mary's, really. They got shot by West Virginia. They beat Indiana by 16. They beat Davidson. They lost to Kentucky in overtime. Now, they did beat Baylor pretty handily by 40 points. Graham Ike is a really, really good player. He was nearly unstoppable in the Kentucky game. Ben Gregg is another guy that's really, really good. The thing that beat Gonzaga
2 years in a row, he's ate us alive. EK. It's EK. Graham EK is how you pronounce it.
And he's a transfer from Wyoming. He started his career at Wyoming.
It looks like Ike, but it's EK.
The three-point shooting, to me, is the biggest concern for the Zags. They're only shooting 33% from the field. Now, UConn, you're probably not going to see the Huskies travel back to the Maui anytime soon. After that, they went 0-3. They lost to Memphis, Colorado. Lost to Dayton.
We need to do a belly dance every time I hear UConn.
Then they come back and they beat Baylor in Texas. So they had to start from scratch. They lost Donovan Twingen, Stephen Kyle, Cam Spencer. You're going to expect some highs and lows with this team. They did get Alex Caravan back. What I don't think I like about this game is Gonzaga's three-point shooting, like I said. And I think Hurley's good enough coach that he'll put a defense out to either pack or double Ek and try to double Nimhard. And I think UConn is a better 3-point shooting team. And I think they can hang on the boards in this type of game. Yeah, I want to say UConn wins this, but I'm thinking, Gonzaga might have one of those bounce back games. But like you said, Brad, this might be the best game of the night in terms of watchability. Give me UConn in the 4.5 or take the points. Give me UConn in the points. This is a tough one.
Yeah,
This is a tough one, to be honest.
It was 3 earlier when I looked.
This is a tough one because Gonzaga's needing a win.
Oh, it is 100%. I mean, either team can win this game. Either team can win this game, to be quite honest with you. And it's going to be back and forth, and it's going to be close. And you got 2 great coaches, to be quite honest with you. You got great players on either side. I think this is the game of the night, if you ask me, and that's coming from a Kentucky fan. I am going to take the Zags. I really like this Gonzaga team. You got Nimbrand. You've got Hickman. You've got Khalif Battle. You've got Ek. They've got a couple of big boys in the middle, Greg, and a couple of them they're pretty impressive. This is a solid Gonzaga team.
Stromer was another one.
I think it possibly could be one of Mark Few's best.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
So I'm going to take the Zags in this one. All right, John. We've got Creighton and Alabama. I think this is a home game, is it not?
Yeah, it's a home game for Alabama.
Yeah, yep. Alabama's a 10.5-point favorite.
Yep. Alabama has kind of been up and down at times. Latrell Wrightsville Jr. got hurt. Now, Creighton lost Pop Isaacs for the year, so they're both kind of battling injuries. Creighton had those losses to Nebraska and San Diego State early in the year. Then they come back and they beat Kansas. Alabama, they lost to Purdue and Oregon. Come back and they beat Houston. They beat Illinois, and I'm trying to remember the other one. There was another one that they beat. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but Alabama is a fun team to watch. They play up and down. They like to get out in the pace. Mark Sears is probably one of the best guards in the country. This is a fun team. Nate Oates always has a fun team to watch. Them playing at the Coleman, Creighton's walking into a death trap because this is a tough environment to play in. Alabama's really good at home. I think give me the Tide, but I think I'm going to take Creighton in the points. I think Creighton's going to be in this game. I think, they got a really good Ryan Kalkbrenner. Stephen Ashworth. They got some guards and they got some nice pieces, but I think they're going to miss Pop Isaacs more than they think. He was really coming on for Creighton, and I think they're going to miss him more than they believe later on in the season.
Yeah, I'm taking Bama. I really like this Bama team. This is at home. I expect them to play with some passion at home. It's going to be a tough environment for Creighton to go into. And Creighton plays a lot better at home than they do on the road, just to be honest.
Night and day.
So I'm gonna take Bama.
It's night and day difference.
Yeah. It's a lot. They're a lot better at home than they are. Yeah.
Omaha, somewhere in the middle of America, brother. Somewhere in the middle of America.
Yeah.
John Rothstein.
All right, John. I threw this one in just to have a little fun with. You got McNeese. This game is in Tupelo, Mississippi. This is a neutral site game versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State is ranked 25th, and I think we could have a little fun with this game.
Well, Mississippi State's going to have to get more consistent as SEC play goes. They're facing a really good team in McNeese State. They got Cam Matthews, fifth-year senior, fifth-year player. He leads the team in assists. They got Josh Hubbard. You can count on him in these type of games, these big games. He's averaging 19 points. They got Cardell Harris Jr. McNeese was 30-4 last year, Brad. This is a really good McNeese State team. Will Wade.
They were.
I like where he has this group. The thing about Mississippi State is like, even last year, they're too inconsistent at times. And I would like to see just some more consistency from the Bulldogs. Do I think this is a Sweet 16 Mississippi State team? I do. I think they're good enough to be in the Sweet 16. I think they're good enough to get a top seed, but I think they're going to have to get more consistent as league play comes because, they didn't look good the other night against Prairie View A&M. Then they whipped Pittsburgh pretty good in Starkville. So, there's some I think I'm going to pick Mississippi State in this game. They could use a better performance than what they did Sunday.
I couldn't find a spread on this game. So it's probably because it's McNeese State. But I couldn't find a spread on this game.
Well, and the thing about McNeese State
I looked on ESPN and on DraftKings
is they haven't really been scoring the ball that well. I don't think this is the best team that they had from a year ago. It's going to take a big order, I think, to keep up with Mississippi State tomorrow. I don't think McNeese State will get there. I think Mississippi State handles them in this game. But it's a nice non-conference game for Chris Jans and Will Wade. I think this is a really good early non-conference game that will benefit both teams moving forward.
Yeah, I'm going to take Mississippi State. I just Will Wade being in this and the job he is doing for a little bitty school, is pretty impressive. So
it is.
You got to give a shout out to the job. All right. Marquette is a 1.5-point favorite. This is at Dayton. I thought this is a A10 team here, Dayton, that's coming off a pretty good showing, I thought, in Maui, despite 2 losses.
I'm going to tell you, Marquette may have the player of the year playing for them, Cam Jones. Cam Jones is scoring 20 points per game. He was really, really good against Wisconsin the other day. They got a few other guys like David Joplin, Stevie Mitchell. They got Chase Rice is really, really good for Marquette. They're ranked 9th in KenPom. They're really good defensively. Now Dayton they're really good. They're good offensively. They're shooting the ball at a high clip right now.
And this is at Dayton, and that's a tough place to play.
It's a tough place. Enoch Cheeks is really, really good for them. Nate Santos is really good. They got Zed Key, the transfer from Ohio State. He's really, really good for them. And then they got the guard Malachi Smith. This is a tough environment to play in. I'm going to tell you, Marquette sometimes they'll look good on the road, and then sometimes they'll have that breakout game, and then they'll kind of just fall out on their face. I don't like this matchup on the road against Dayton. The way Dayton can score and
This
can
would
shoot.
be a huge quad.
And here's another thing that I'll kind of add
win.
All this. Imagine if Dayton had Kobe Bryant right now. Just imagine. If Kobe Bryant stays, if he stays, this is probably a top 15, top 10 Dayton team.
Elite Eight. They could be an Elite Eight team. I think they're that good, especially they're that
impressive. They run-rotted UConn and that's not easy to do, especially with the talent that UConn's got. This is a really good team. So I think I'm going to take Dayton here in the upset over Marquette.
I think that's where I'm leading to, because this is at Dayton. It's a very tough environment to go with. This Dayton team they're not like solid team. And they're going to be out for this quad one win if they can get it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Dayton in this one. All right. So I've got a couple of bonus. I'm going to run two by you, John. And I don't have one up, but let's talk about it for just a minute. Arizona State takes on Florida tomorrow in the other game for that holiday hoops giving. I didn't have it on here, but let's throw a little bonus in and talk about Arizona State versus Florida.
Yeah, I love this Florida team, man. You can't underestimate any team, especially one with Bobby Hurley coaching.
Florida's still undefeated, and Arizona State's 8-1.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona State's playing really, really well right now. Jaden Quainitz, he's blocking shots everywhere. That's a former Kentucky commit, by the way, that went to Dan Hurley, which leads the Big 12 conference in block shots. He's a really good rim protector. Now, on the other side, you got Josan Sano with Arizona State. He's a freshman. He's really good scoring the ball. Florida is fun to watch. Walter Clayton Jr., they got Richards. This is a fun team. Florida brings a lot to the table here. They're averaging Florida's opponents are averaging 13.9 turnovers a game. And it's defense to offense for Florida. They're really, really good. Like I said, they got Walter Clayton Jr. They got Alex Condon, the 6'11" senior for Florida. Their top scorer is Clayton. He leads the Gators with 18 points per game. This Florida team is good enough to win the whole thing. And I know that's crazy to think.
They've climbed to 9th in the country.
But this team is really, really good. They're 9-0. I think it's the first time since the 06 season.
And this Arizona State team is going to be a pretty good challenge.
It is. It's going to be a fun matchup. I like this game. And what people don't realize is Arizona State will be in that same building for the college football playoff.
Say that.
I said
again.
Arizona
I missed
State.
part of it. Arizona State what?
Will be in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl. So they're going to be showcased twice with basketball and football.
Yeah.
So a lot of good things happening.
Yeah. Hey, they've got it going on.
They do
right now. Yeah.
Florida. But Florida,
absolutely.
I like Florida in this game. I like Florida to win this game. I'm just a big, big fan of Walter Clayton Jr.
All right. Well, that was a bonus. I didn't have that on here. I didn't tell John that we were even going to talk about that game. but it was one that I wanted to kind of put on there, and I
That's
thought
not the
I'd
only
throw that
one.
in here. But before we leave, John,
The thing
I
is,
got
there's
one more
more.
bonus. What's that?
I said that ain't the only one. There's a lot more than just the ones we picked tonight.
Yeah, there is. Absolutely. But that was one that I wanted to kind of put on there and didn't. But all right, before we leave tonight, there's a big game for Kentucky women's tomorrow. They're ranked 16th. They're going on the road, second time this season. First time didn't turn out too well against the ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. This is their second road trip. They're in the Mackey Center. So this, playing on the road at Purdue. What do you think is going to happen here tomorrow for Kentucky women's basketball?
I look for them to bounce back. I think Clara Strack.
Purdue.
I don't think this Purdue team's quite great. I think Clara Strack's going to have a big game in this game. I think Georgia Moore is going to be really good in this game. I don't think they're going to let the last game kind of linger over into this Purdue game. And I think they take care of business on the road against Purdue.
Yeah, Amelia Hassett played really well on Monday night. I was there covering big 3-pointers. I thought she played really well. If she can continue to play that, and Taone Key continues double doubles, and that's what she's been doing lately, minus the North Carolina game, and then you get Strack and Georgia Amore doing their thing. This is a really good Kentucky team. Now Purdue is down a little bit, 15 team on the women's side. They lost a little bit more than normal last year. I think it's going to take a year or two for them to be back at the top or to be ranked. They are not ranked. I think they're like 5-4. The one thing I will say is South Carolina beat the crap out of them. Beat them 99-51 a couple of weeks ago. So it's going to be interesting. Now, this was in South Carolina versus at Purdue. So, the road and the home stuff is going to be a little different. But it's going to be interesting to see how Kentucky handles this Purdue team tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see I'm hoping to see a 12 to 15 plus point win here. That's what I'm going to call somewhere in that neighborhood on the road. I think would be a good victory.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to throw that in as a bonus. That is going to be it for us. I do want to mention, and I did not update this from the other day, but I do want to mention that we both are writing for Stadium Rant now. I have even posted some other Stadium Rant articles on our college. Wrote a new one today about this college basketball slate that we just kind of went through and talked about. And then I have one up about Amelia Hassett that we were just talking about, women's basketball player for Kentucky. So check those out. Those were some others that we did earlier this week. So both of us are writing for Stadium Rant and having pretty fun doing it. And they have a pretty nice visual website now, brand new website. It's pretty cool. And we both have an opportunity to not only write, but there's a bunch of writers there, and I've been sharing other people's stuff on our page. It's pretty amazing, to be honest, to be a part of it. So check us out. Check out our articles. Check out other people's articles. They cover everything. I mean, pro, NFL, your team, whatever. I mean, they cover everything.
By the way, see you tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
Yep.
All right. So we are also on the Real Fresh channel. I want to put that out, WSB and TV channel 30 as well. So I want to put that up because I haven't been doing that much lately. And then follow us, tell people about us, share anything you can on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, on the screen handles there on the screen. So we appreciate you guys. Now, here's what's going to happen. Next week, we're going to do this show on Thursday night. Next Friday night, I'm covering a game in Lexington for the women against Belmont. Also, we're going to do it on Thursday night because there is a big Friday night game, Notre Dame, Indiana, next week. College football playoff. I want to get that game in with all the college football playoff picks and stuff. So we will be doing our game day pick'ems on Thursday night next
like
week,
old times,
not Friday.
like
all
old
right?
times, like old times. Old times. We used to do it on Thursday night.
Yeah, you're right. We used to do it on Thursday. Yeah, we did. So next week we are going to be doing it on Thursday night for our game day pick'ems. Look for us to be on Monday and Tuesday as well. We will do a Big Blue Hoops show, probably Monday night. We could flip-flop the shows depending on a possible guest. I'll just say that. But probably the Big Blue Hoop show will be Monday night. And then we will do it next week for our game day pick'ems. Outside of that, John, it's been fun. We will see you guys next week. Enjoy the Army-Navy game. Enjoy some basketball. And by the way, if you are just an absolute fanatic about bowl games, they actually start tomorrow night. There is 2 small bowl games tomorrow night. Check them out, but they start tomorrow night. The smallest bowls on the schedule, just about.
Yep.
So check them out. All right, guys, we will see you next week. Y'all have a good night. This has been College SportsCast Game Day Pick'em Week 16